recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Time to get going. 6:30 this morning on the Morning Drive. It is Wednesday, the day the work gets done. Brandon writes in this morning, "Morning, guys. I originally said this was a 4-win team this year, so my expectations aren't exactly high. So please give me a couple of reasons to have confidence that we have a chance to win, if you have any." I'm going to assume like this week against Texas.
Give me a couple reasons to have confidence that we have a chance to win. Well, first off, just because... Okay, I'll go sunshine here. Just because you're bad one week on offense doesn't mean that you can't get better. So you definitely, I think you could say you had 2 bad weeks offensively. But, maybe this is the week you start to put some things together offensively. Texas has questions at their quarterback position. Maybe that comes into play. Your defense has played well, okay? You're playing at home where you should have a great crowd and should bring a lot of energy and all the above. And we all know there's been times where you probably shouldn't have been in games that you were in and that you won at home, just partly because of the great atmosphere and energy there. And so I think you're getting closer, or you're getting back towards back when it was a tough place to play and you saw upsets happen here. And so, I absolutely think that can factor into this. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you today that I'm going to pick the Red Raiders to win, because I doubt that's going to happen. But I'm also not going to sit here today and tell you that I think there's no chance whatsoever. Okay? Because I do think there's a chance. Again, upsets happen. I get that they're favored. I get that they should win this game. But, you're talking about a young offensive unit, and I'd like to think the team's going to keep getting better and better as the season goes along. And so, maybe we start to see them turn in the right direction this week.
I was going to start with the defense and saying that the defense could give you a chance to win this game. Obviously, the offense can't have the turnovers. You got to stop turning the ball over. If you can stop turning the ball over, then that gives you a chance. And then when you're in a position to score in the red zone, you've got to get 7s and not 3s. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that once they've got inside the red zone. One of my questions just now...
Yeah, I don't think that's been a problem at all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you haven't gotten to the red zone enough.
Yeah. One of my questions was going to be for you, do you think North Carolina State is a better team than Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
So if they're a better team than Texas, and you look at what transpired against North Carolina State and how you held them down early, to get to a couple of field goals. You had the pick 6, obviously, that was not on the defense. So kind of goes back to that stat I told you about yesterday with, the number of points, and how Tech has done a pretty good job when they've had the ball, when the other team has had the ball not on the plus side. You've done a decent job of getting stops.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you've been better than decent in that area. Okay. I think those quick turnarounds, I think you've been really good. Really good.
So, given all that, I think that gives you a chance. All right, this from the Ace Flooring Center chat line. Technically, he followed through with what he said and used both quarterbacks in Game 3. However, it wasn't in the way that he inferred at the beginning of the season, but only in trash time. He's getting tripped up by his own words, and it's going to cost him in the long run with the media, public, or players, maybe all 3. Tripped up by his own words. Okay.
You agree, disagree? I
think he's going to have to be careful. I think he's going to have to be careful on that, because I think that that could happen. Absolutely. Especially when you are emphatic about how you say things. Mm-hmm. When you're emphatic and enthusiastic, you can get sometimes caught up in your words, and sometimes that comes back to haunt you. I have my own experience to deal with that.
I think all of us do. Yeah, that's probably fair.
But
just the rest of us aren't always saying things publicly like he has to.
Right. But I also think even those that are just regular citizen Joes, like most of us, those that speak more or speak more emphatically. See, I would put myself in that category, and I would not put you in that category. I think you're a good thinker before you speaker. I am not a good thinker before I speaker. Okay, but I think you are measured sometimes, and you're well thought out. Sometimes I kind of fly off the cuff, and that's
what makes you fun.
It gets me in trouble, and that's fun. What's going to get him in a little bit of trouble as well. Somebody else says this, and this is I don't know if this is even possible to do, Jamie. Need to keep both of them happy in this new transfer portal world. I
get that. I mean, I totally understand that, and I think they did a great job in the off season of managing that. But at some point, it has to be about, and I'm not suggesting you're not at this point, but at some point, it has to be the number one focus is to win football games, not to keep backup quarterbacks happy. Right? Yeah. And if you're playing a backup quarterback just because you want to keep him happy, again, what could have been the plan to use him last weekend? Unless it was on a trick play, okay? The plan to use them both. And I have a hard time thinking the plan was to blow them out, and so we were going to get him in that way, okay?
I just don't know how you could look at North Carolina State and think that you were going to blow them out.
No, I agree. So what scenario do you see where the plan was to use both of them?
Yeah,
there's where you run into you're saying
on that,
you're
Jamie.
saying things that people don't really believe that you mean.
6:37 this morning here on the morning drives. Yeah,
okay,
or you're getting caught up, or you're getting caught up in the emotion.
Next thing you know, we're gonna all start making jokes about, what was Beard's favorite term? Nobody respects him more. Great Hall of Fame coaching staff.
Yeah,
players that will play on the next level.
Yeah, when we played Slippery Rock State JV, okay. I mean, you don't want to come across as fake.
Yeah.
Like he did.
Yeah.
And everybody figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody says this. Eye test, Morton had a spark. Start him.
I don't disagree with the spark. I thought he did. I thought he just had a different kind of energy to him. But let's also take into account he was playing again and against a prevent defense at that point, and so it was a little bit of a different deal. But I thought he looked great. I really did. I liked his demeanor. He looked like he was confident. He looked like he was ready to go. As I said earlier this week, if we'd come in on and Coach would have announced on Monday that he was going to start Baron Morton, I wouldn't have looked at it as a terrible decision. I still would lean towards Donovan at this point just because of the experience level. Not like it's a huge amount, but it's more than Baron. But those guys get to see him in practice every day. They see what's going on. I don't. So I wouldn't have thought it was a terrible decision to go with Baron Morton. But I don't know. I really do. I said it at the beginning of the season. I say it now. I know Donovan has struggled the last couple of games, and the offense has struggled as a whole. And I don't think it's all on him. I think all three quarterbacks are good. I think you can win with all three. We showed that last year with Donovan. I mean, he had games where he was really good, but unfortunately, he had some stinkers too. The Oklahoma State game really comes to mind last year, and then we've seen back-to-back here. I think all three are good enough to win. You're good enough to win with them at this level, but you got to cut down on those turnovers. That's the huge part. You can accept a guy, he was a little bit off, he was inaccurate or whatever, but you can't give up pick sixes and you can't keep turning the ball over.
I wonder if you could get this information. I wonder how they perceive the strengths, if they perceive the strengths of these two quarterbacks being the same, but I wonder if the weaknesses or the undeveloped part are different. In other words, does Morton do a better job of Smith at this, but his weakness at that is worse than Donovan Smith's weakness at the other?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a that's a I watch these guys in practice every day kind of question.
Right. 6:40 this morning on the morning drive. This day in sports history is next.
Big plays and even bigger laughs.
If they get 7 out of those 2 things, game over. You're not winning. You're not winning that game at all.
This is the Morning Drive podcast.
Basketball players who don't wear the
shoes.
The shoes that match the uniform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Match the color scheme of the team they play for.
From Double T 97.3.
On the morning drive, this day in sports history is next.
You could say that all of these guys are big fans of Earth, Wind, and Fire, Chuck.
Okay.
Because in 1956, New York Yankees set a dubious Major League Baseball record, stranding 20 on base. Mickey Mantle did hit a 500-foot-plus home run, but the Red Sox would win 13-9 at Fenway Park.
Okay.
1970, Oakland A's Vida Blue no-hits the Minnesota Twins 6-0. 1971, the American League okays the Washington Senators' move to Arlington. So, not quite, but in theory, happy birthday, Texas Rangers. 1973, New York Mets go into first place at 500 after trailing by more than 12 and a half games.
Wait a minute, they were 500?
They were 500 and leading the AL East at this point.
NL East? And then they would go on to play in the World Series.
In 73?
The Mets? So maybe, it was 73 because it was Willie Mason's last year.
There we go. Also in 73, Nate Archibald signs a 7-year contract with the NBA Kansas City Kings for $450,000.
Yeah. The 7-year total, I think, was $450,000.
Yeah, that's the 7-year itch right there.
Disappointing considering how cool of a name he has.
Tiny?
Well, Archibald.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool.
Okay.
Tiny was a good one, too.
You know, he was like it. I mean, he was like the star of the show.
1980, LA Rams' Johnny Johnson scores on a 99-yard interception return. 1986, New York Jets beat the Miami Dolphins 51-45 in overtime, a record 884 passing yards in this game.
Ooh.
1990, Oakland A's Bob Welsh becomes the first 25-game winner in 10 years.
It was kind of like his 1 year where he was really good, too. Didn't have like a great career.
He did not. Unfortunately for him, his off-the-field problems really were a detriment to his pitching. He was a Dodger. He had a big drinking problem, and he overcame it eventually, but it cost him.
See, I didn't know any of that. That's probably why he didn't have those consecutive great years.
And
You guys drink together a lot?
No, but I mean, it was public. He made it public. I mean, it's not something. I mean, he tried to help others too, as a result of that.
So he was like CC Sabathia, like it came to a head, and then he kind of made it public.
Yeah, if memory serves me correct, it was not positive for him. I mean, he probably would tell you that he drank away some of his talent there.
Yeah.
And in 1991, USA Basketball announces the Dream Team for the 1992 Olympics. And I am willing to bet Jamie Lent can name the entire roster.
Oh, probably not.
Not anymore?
Okay, so I'll start with the hardest one. Stockton. Okay, Mullen. How many guys?
I don't know. I don't have the roster.
Stockton, Mullen, Bird, Magic, Michael, Chuck, Robinson, Ewing, Leitner.
Yeah, I was going to say you got to get Christian Leitner.
Did I say Michael? Did I say Scotty?
You didn't say Scotty. You said Michael.
Scotty. Who have I missed? Feels like all of them.
Mullen?
I said Mullen.
You said Mullen.
I think I could name them all.
Clyde?
Drexler wasn't on the first one, was he?
Was he on the second one?
I think he was on the second one.
I feel like we're missing somebody, but I don't know who we're missing.
Maybe he was on both. I feel like I did too, because I feel like there was only like 10 names. There should be 11 or 12. Anyway, they were good. That was so much freaking fun, man. That was the coolest thing ever.
You might want to call that the biggest flex the Americans could do in an Olympic event.
You just, oh man. I have a friend who told me once that he happened to be where they were training, and this guy's a coach, and they let him, hey, come in and watch, and he got to stand there for 10 or 15 minutes and just watch him scrimmaging. Can you just imagine? Did I say magic? I don't know if I said magic.
I think you said magic.
I don't think you did. I think, yeah.
Did you get Bird? I don't think you got Bird.
I said Bird, like he was like second or third.
Okay.
I mean, it just, can you imagine just watching those guys, just see those guys scrimmage and talk smack to each other? Mm-hmm. I mean, that would almost be better than watching them play in the gold medal game. Just to see those guys out there going up and down the court. And
Have you watched the Magic versus Michael scrimmage that happened, that it's the greatest game no one watched?
No.
It's because it's just basically practice video, and it was like the younger group playing Magic in the older group, and neither one of them wanting to give an inch in any way, shape, or form for who was the best player and whose time it was. Yeah, it's fantastic.
One of the best things I saw from that era is when John Stockton was there in Barcelona doing on-the-street interviews, asking people walking by about the Dream Team and if they had seen any of them. And so finally, he sees one guy wearing the Dream Team caricatures, you know, like the big heads, little bodies. Yeah. Okay. And so it's got all the players on there. And he's like, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy? And he's pointing at Michael and Magic, all these different guys. And he points at himself. He's like, what about this guy? Is this guy? And the guy was like, no, never seen that guy. He's standing there talking to him.
Did you say Tim Hardaway?
He wasn't on that one. He was on the second one.
Because somebody said, was Tim Hardaway?
He was on the second one. Yeah.
You know, I just remember with regard to that team, a bit of the controversy, or you know, because at that point in time, I mean, you're going now all pro as opposed to the college player, but I mean, you had to, because that's what you were going up against, you know, with the other countries. It was just kind of obviously the tipping point in terms of Olympic basketball for the United States.
It was, you know, we had lost an Olympic gold. We didn't win the gold. And it was like, okay, enough messing around. Yeah. We're sending our big dogs. Yeah. We're going to squash the rest of you.
We're going to fight fire with fire here.
And they did.
Yeah. And they did.
It's National Pecan Cookie Day.
I'm out.
I'm in.
Happy birthday to Stephen King, who's 75. Please don't write any more books to scare me. Bill Murray, 72. David Coulier, 63. Nicole Richie, 41. Faith Hill, 55. Luke Wilson, 51. John Kitna is 50. And Cecil Fielder is 59. And on this day in 1780, during the American Revolution, American General Benedict Arnold meets with British Major John Andre to discuss handing over West Point to the British in return for the promise of a large sum of money and a high position in the British Army. The plot was foiled, obviously, and Arnold, a former American hero, becomes synonymous with the word traitor.
And don't be a Benedict Arnold.
That would be the traitor.
Right. No, I got it. Yes. I got it.
And that's this day's sports history.
Yeah. Right. Let's see here. With regard to Bob Welsh, here's the thing that was significant. In 1991, he and Peter Vessey's dad, George, wrote a book called 5 O'Clock Comes Early. And it's a Cy Young winner recounting his greatest victory, which basically chronicles his battle with alcoholism. It was truly the first time an active athlete had openly discussed a drinking addiction. And the thing about Welsh that makes him significant is he's a guy that, in 1978 struck out Reggie Jackson as a 21-year-old in the World Series. And he was truly a phenom for the Dodgers, and then kind of drank his way out of that team. And then he did win a World Series with the Dodgers in 81. He did pitch for the A's in 1989 when they won. In fact, he was the starting pitcher the night of the earthquake.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then he would also be in the 1990 World Series. That was a series they lost to the Cincinnati Reds. So,
real quick, Clyde was on that team.
Clyde
the one
was.
we were
I think
missing.
I continuously forget him. Yeah. Isaiah Thomas not on the team. Remember, Jordan made sure he was not on the team, paid him back for some wrongs served on early in MJ's career. And Leitner definitely was on that
Yes.
team. It was a big controversy. They took one college player and they took Leitner over Shaq, and everybody thought that was the craziest thing ever. I think I know Drexler was on the second team, and I always forget he was on the first one too. Yeah, I think I continuously forget Drexler.
Getting you up and getting your sports day started.
I mean, I could wear a good-looking suit, and I could speak eloquently on his behalf.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast.
And then you'll take your remote and you'll push the button.
Okay.
And then magically the game will appear.
From Double T 97.3.
Nice to have you with us this morning on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. You can access that via the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. All right. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line with regard to Christmas lights. I would rather shut my fingers in a door than put up lights, so I have fought it hard for the last 3 years. Goodness. Rather put your fingers indoors than put up lights. That's a
Seems a little harsh.
that seems a little right. How about just one finger in the door? I mean, they're like fingers plural.
Yeah, as I suggested to him, there are now lots of local businesses that'll do that for you. Mm-hmm. Lawn companies that during the winter months do that.
Right.
Let's hire one of them.
Yeah.
Write a check, make it go away. I have no idea how much something like that costs, but I don't. I don't hate putting mine up. So
It depends on how many lights you put up.
sure, there you
Okay.
go.
There's a certain amount per foot. Mm-hmm. Okay. And each bulb is about a foot. Did you know that?
I think I had that idea.
The difference between each bulb is 12 inches. Mm-hmm. So count the number of bulbs, and that's basically it, plus tax, plus a little bit of labor, plus, a little tip for the guys that do it, and then they'll take good care of you. Mm-hmm. Okay? Remember you for the next year. Tech in Texas on Saturday. Let's hear from Coach McGuire. Here's what he says is UT's strength of their team.
Definitely their strength is what he can do with his skill players. And he has a lot of skill on that team. And so really excited to play against him. He really is one of the best player callers in the game. And so I know Coach DeRuiter has some history, just being on that side of the nation and in the Pac-12 at different times. I know they have some history together and knows him, and he has some great things to say about him.
Maybe the guy that's the chief amongst them that has the skill is Bijan Robinson. We've seen him before, unfortunately.
He's pretty good, man. I don't know who you saw before that was him, but he's really good.
No, that's what I'm saying. We've seen him before.
Oh, against the Red Raiders.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've seen him before.
He's terrific.
Is my point that
Now the good thing is that you've handled the run pretty well so far. Your defense has done a good job in that regard. So I gotta believe that he's public enemy number one for the Red Raider defense this weekend.
in three three games so far this year, 51 rushing attempts, 324 yards. He scored 5 touchdowns. His longest is 78 so far in the season. He just has that explosive speed that once he hits the hole, if you don't get him and stop him, he gone.
Yep.
He's gone. And the question maybe more than anything else is, who's going to start at quarterback for him?
It seems like a lot of people feel like Ewers could be back. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's the.
Would you like to see him,
one.
or do you care?
I don't care.
Okay, I figured. That's what I figured. I figured that you would say that.
I mean, a head of lettuce like that, I'd prefer not seeing that. He's got a helmet on. I'd probably be better than if he doesn't.
He's so far on the year 25 of 36. Has thrown an interception. Has thrown a couple of touchdowns. 350 yards, 359 yards passing.
That was just in the 2 weeks.
Two games, yeah.
2 weeks.
2 games. And as far as Hudson Card is concerned, he's played in 3 games so far this year. He is 58 of 86 and has thrown for 702 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 46 was his longest touchdown pass or pass of the season so far. I think I'd like to see Quinn Ewers just to see what he's all about. I'm not in. I don't mind seeing the backup, but I don't know that if it's 1A and 1B. I don't think I think they would say, all things considered, if we had our full strength is Quinn Ewers at quarterback.
Yeah, I would just prefer to see the one that's going to help the Red Raiders win.
Right. No, so which one's going to throw the interception? Which one's going to throw the pick six? Which one's going to... One thing's for sure, one of them's going to get introduced to Tyree Wilson. He is so far having quite the little season for himself, as he had 11 tackles and 3.5 tackles for loss against North Carolina State.
That's a big day against a good team.
And and he just continues to improve his stock and his name. And of course, as we're going through the season, offenses are going to try to design plays to stop him. So that means that somebody else along that defensive front is going to potentially have to step up if teams try to do something to take him out of the play.
Yeah, you would think as he continues to have success early on in the season that we're going to see teams that try to double him a little bit more, maybe keep him back in to chip a little bit at him as well, to keep him from being as big of a factor. So hopefully that opens things up for other guys when we start to see that.
Grayson says this: I would like to beat Ewers because all of the people I talked to say losing him cost them the Bama game. So we'll see about that. Here is Coach Joey McGuire on where UT has improved since a year ago.
The one thing that they have improved on, definitely, Pete, it's his second year as a defense coordinator there. They're playing better defense. He's doing a really good job. They're sound. They're tackling better. They added a piece, as an analyst with probably one of the best defensive minds in college football, and Gary Patterson, and you can definitely see there's an influence there. I'm watching film, and you see him on the sideline taking notes, so he's a good friend of mine. Coach Perry and Zarnell both worked for him, and they say that's one thing they say. You can see that he's definitely there to really consult, and they're playing better defense, and you see why I think they're a better football team than what they were last year, especially at this point.
Yeah, what'll be interesting to me is, aside from this game with regard to Gary Patterson, are they playing better defensively? He's known as a defensive coach, and will he be a head coach again? I mean, there's some rumblings about him in Nebraska, but there's rumblings about a lot of guys in Nebraska. Urban Meyer's rumbled to be in the Nebraska mix. And other coaches around the country, and that's a big job that is going to pay a lot of money, and they're going to have high expectations. But would probably surprise me to see, because he's 60-something years old. Do they feel like they've got to, go a little bit younger, and a guy that maybe is a little more hip to the world than a 60-something-year-old guy that's stuck in his ways.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Gary Patterson was a major D1 head coach again.
Yeah. I think I would
surprised.
too.
I just think people are going to go after coaches that are younger and have the the recruiting energy and all that kind of stuff. I just don't
those
think
60-year-old people, they're just ready to be put out to pasture.
Well, I don't care who you are as a head coach. You got to have a really good staff around you, and obviously they're a major factor in the recruiting as well. So, I mean, you can still have a 60-year-old as the head coach, and they have a younger staff around them that makes it work. But
I was trying to be funny there, since I'm 61.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's going to hire me to do anything. They're trying to put me out to pasture around here anyway.
I know not of what you speak, so I just keep quiet.
Every day I just feel like getting shoved further and further out the door, Jamie.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
So when we moved your desk outside, that wasn't a clue.
I know, right?
Okay, just checking.
Right. You know, the next clue for me is when it doesn't work to get me into the pearly gates here. Send me off to other gates.
I had a little trouble getting in the gate this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a
Bit of a challenge for me. It's not pearly.
No, they're black. The more resources teams have to use to slow down Wilson means less resources to block other guys, or one less tight end or running back you have to worry about coming out of the backfield because they have to stay in to block. Makes sense.
As I said before, hopefully that opens things up for other guys.
Okay. You got a question for us?
Sure.
Okay, save it. Save it. We'll get to it here in just a second. It is 7:25 this morning on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Tech and Texas, Saturday. Optimum Game Day live coverage presented by United Supermarkets begins at 7 a.m. Saturday morning with the Saturday morning quarterback, a review of the high school games from Friday.
Getting you up and getting your sports day started.
That's me, man.
Wow.
Highly,
Impressive.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast.
I'm like the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Because your kids don't want mums?
My oldest is a senior, and I think we made it through without paying for a single mom.
Wasn't the guy supposed to pay for the mum?
Oh, I don't know.
From Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
You got something for us to remember on this 21st day of September?
I don't know if I do or not, but I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
My question to you today is, and sometimes I don't like these kind of questions, but it seems like it fits today.
Beautiful.
Seems like it fits today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
If you could only have one or the other, what are you taking? A victory for the Red Raider football team over the Longhorns on Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Or a sweep over the Longhorn basketball team this year?
Oh, yeah. Chihuahua, man. Yeah.
Winning on Saturday versus Texas. Your new head coach gets a signature win at home in front of a sold-out crowd. Sign me up. I realized that sweeping the basketball team would be awesome. You did that last year. I need a win over Texas at home since 2008. Please.
I agree with Jeff. I would, if you're giving me one or the other, saying one's guaranteed, I'll take the guaranteed win over the Longhorn football team. Signature win, opportunity to have
why does that even matter? Why Jeff said it. You get your signature win for your football coach. I mean,
I think you beat
we're
Texas.
doing it for him?
No, you're doing it for all of us.
Yeah, it's...
You didn't get one with Wells. It's hard to point to one with Kingsbury. I mean, you could, and all of his were on the road if they were.
This is a home victory, gets everybody fired up.
That all of the,
Yeah.
but to do it for Joey McGuire doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I mean,
as much as I love Coach McGuire,
it's for the program. I mean, it's for the program. I mean, and he's
what
the
it
leader
means
of
for the program,
Yeah,
or what
right.
it means for the fan base to have fun and be able to talk smack to Longhorns.
And actually, what I was thinking about more than anything else, Jamie, besides all of that, is that you'll have a bunch of Christmas cards that'll go out this year with the Texas score. I got it. I knew I was going to get the sheesh. But it's important.
You've really received one of these?
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
How many?
Not many, because we haven't. Not many.
Not any since
I mean, you
2008.
talk about these all the time. like
Not
every
all the
day,
time.
every day in the mail, he's getting one. With a picture of somebody under the Double T scoreboard.
No, just the scoreboard.
And how long ago was it?
Well, in 2008, probably.
So it was the Texas game.
Probably got one in 2002 as well. We won that year at home. We need one last signature moment for the Double T scoreboard before it goes the way of the wrecking ball.
Wow. Jeez. I'm with you guys. I'm 100% behind the football team winning this weekend. I just think that it means it would be huge for Coach McGuire's recruiting ability.
Absolutely.
To be able to sell that one.
We're on the road.
We're making progress and all that. I didn't love how you guys portrayed it as like we need it for Coach McGuire.
No,
the fan base in his program.
Yeah.
But I mean,
if the head coach is doing well, you assume the program is doing well. And having something you can recruit with helps. And being able to recruit against Texas with that is a nice little chip.
I just think it would be massive, and as much as I would hate to see Chris Beard walk out of the USA with a win, that would be painful.
He's going to at some point in time.
Sure, that's fair.
But
Probably so.
Maybe, but I mean, maybe not. I will just say this: I would take my chances with basketball because I think you're going to be pretty good. This doesn't necessarily saying that you're going to take 2 losses. It's just you're going to take your chances in basketball.
Well, it was kind of like one or the other. So if you were going to win in football, that means you wouldn't sweep in basketball.
Oh, well, see, I thought kind of the way that I took it is, I took it from the standpoint of, well, if you win in football, then we're going to kind of roll the dice with basketball.
Okay.
I took it as a not sweep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you told me that the Longhorns would sweep Tech in basketball, I would still make that trade for a win over football in front of a sold-out crowd. When you combine both audiences for both games, it doesn't equal the sold-out crowd that you will have at Jones Stadium this weekend.
No.
No, I just think it would be massive for the for the football program. Massive.
Sure it would. Absolutely.
To get a win like that. Plus, I mean, it might be the last time we see him here.
I think it is the last time we're going to see him here.
There's a good chance.
Yeah, I don't. Barring, and this will not happen, Oklahoma and Texas saying to the SEC, we've kind of had second thoughts on this. We got cold feet. We're not gonna go through this. Did you ever have a friend have cold feet when they were getting married and say, I don't think I'm going to do this? Did you ever
somebody that should have. Thanks, I'll be here all week.
Yeah, sure. Did you ever have any of your friends decide to say at the last minute, like 60 days out or 30 days out or something like that, going, I think I'm out?
When I was in college, I had a female friend who, not my girlfriend, who was engaged and was getting married over the Christmas break, and came back from the break and saw her, in class, and was like, "Hey, how was the wedding and the honeymoon and all that good stuff?" And she's like, and I decided not to do it. I was like, okay. That was the last thing I said. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, good for her. Good for her. Good for her that she recognized that this was a bad deal, or maybe he recognized that it was a bad deal, and and they didn't have any other things that got lost in the wash, so to speak.
Going back to
all the money her parents had probably spent at that point.
No, I get it.
Not good for them.
But they probably said to her, better you not marry this guy and have 30 years of unhappiness, or produce 3 kids and then have 20 years of just angst, as opposed to short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah. Just wish that her parents probably would have said, I wish you could have figured this out a few months ago.
Yeah. Sure. Going back to the question, the other line that goes with this, if Texas Tech beats Texas on Saturday, do you like their chances of making a bowl game more? I think all of us would say yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If Texas Tech basketball gets swept by Texas, are they still making the NCAA tournament?
Yes, but not as high a seed.
Yeah.
Are they still making the we're talking making postseason play.
Yeah, but we've gone beyond that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean as much. You're right. Yep. This one has bigger implications. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said, Jeff.
This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I called off my first engagement less than 30 days out. Best decision ever made for the both of us. Yeah. See, there you go. Mike says this, McGuire from the top ropes. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I wonder if he was talking about one of us.
Somebody
Chuck.
said.
No, I know he wasn't talking about you, okay? Because that woman is a saint.
My woman? Yeah,
yes.
She is a saint. You're
that
right.
woman is a saint.
No doubt. And she gets reminded of that pretty much daily by...
Yeah.
It's funny when everybody says that to her. You're a saint. Mm-hmm. It makes me feel like, wait a minute.
Do you Do you feel like, okay, here's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. If she decided to pick up and leave tomorrow, you think you'd have a hard time finding another suitor? Because I don't think I'd find anybody that would want to put up with my mess.
No.
I think I'd
probably I'd just kind of try to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in starting over.
I don't think there's another one that would put up with me.
Yeah, I'm not.
So.
Right. No, I don't think I'm really interested in starting over. I could just try to figure it out as best I could. Right.
Go live a happy life in the woods, Chuck.
No, I don't think I could do that.
Oh, I think I could.
Oh, I know that you feel like you could. I don't want to. Let's see. This person says, I've spent a lot of money on football tickets. I'll take the wins at Jones Stadium all day, every day. Yeah. Right.
Recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day.
But I bet you many of his coaches probably haven't. They're like, who is this? What is this Mayberry that you speak of, right?
This is the Morning Drive Podcast.
Sign me up. Get your popcorn ready.
From Double T 97.3.
Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Here's a little trivia question or trivial thought about September from the band I call Soil, Breeze, and Blaze. 99.99999% of Americans call it Earth, Wind, and Fire. But I've always called them Soil, Breeze, and Blaze. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, it mentions on the 21st day of September, and there's a couple theories about why it's called the 21st day of September. The songwriter, Maurice White, says he chose the 21st due to how it sounded when it was sung, which makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. His wife, Marilyn White, claims that September 21st was the due date of their son. And that's according to the lyricist, Lee Willis. Okay.
So there's a little bit of a disconnect there.
Yeah, a little bit of disconnect there between
or a little bit of a
husband and wife.
Disagreement.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like this show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which is fine. I mean,
a little bit of a disagreement.
We've had this has been a disagreeing week. We've had conflict this week. We're not in lockstep, but that's okay. That makes it better. Anyway,
so I have to ask, who moved? If we're not in lockstep, who moved?
I probably moved farther away.
Jamie
that would be the safe place to go.
Jeff seems like Chuck seems like the willing to work it out guy, and I seem like the.
I'm very much willing to work it out.
You know, some people say that's the saying: if at first you don't succeed, try again. And you know, my kind of motto is: if at first you don't succeed, quit while you're only behind by one.
Okay. I'm a guy that likes to work things out. I try to figure out a way to make it work, but I think I can make it work with you.
I think so.
Chuck, do you have disagreements with the lucky lady? She has disagreements with me from time to time. Yes. Yeah. There's some things that she's not fully engaged with or on board with, or I mean, she might have occasionally once or twice said, "I don't like you very much right now, Chuck Heinz." I know then that's serious stuff.
Problem has been, she doesn't like the tone of the bell that he rings. He feels like he's doing it with this really fast pace that shows frustration, and she would just like it at a slower pace. To just say, "Hey, whenever you're available, we're ready for our ice cream sandwiches." But when he shakes it like he does, that means that he's frustrated. He's frustrated. Get here quickly. What are we waiting for? What are we doing?
I mean, No, not really. 8:18.
It's all in the tone of your bell ringing, Chuck.
Right, it's tone of the bell ringing.
Charles Michael Heinz.
Yeah, Charles Michael. When my mother says that, then you really know it's time to talk turkey. She would always say,
I laughed at myself the other day because I actually called myself my middle with my middle name.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was really mad at myself, I guess.
Were you?
I don't remember what it was about, but I remember saying my full name. Yeah.
Wow. To yourself.
To myself.
Wow.
Just like your mother would, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. Zach Kitley is the offensive coordinator for Texas Tech. He was asked on Monday about his quarterback, Donovan Smith, and what he needs to work on for this week's game against.
Yeah, clearly there's some stuff we still got to work on. I think he battled all game. One of them sacks, unfortunately our running back missed a corner blitz right in his face and he just gets hit. One of them, they had a perfect play call defensively for our pass protection that we had for that specific play. There's a couple that he probably wants back that we could have gotten the ball out of our hands quicker. The biggest thing is we got to protect the football. I'm sure y'all heard it by Coach McGuire. If we're turning the ball over 2 or 3 times at my position, at that quarterback position, it's going to be hard to win games. So that's the biggest thing we're trying to move forward with, just protecting the football.
I wonder, and I'm being serious here when I ask this question because it's going to sound a little silly, but I wonder, how do you do that with a guy that's only had not even 2 handfuls of starts? How do you do a better job of protecting the football? Because it's the interceptions. Is that, hey, we need you to be a little bit more conservative, or we just need you to run the play that's called regardless of a blitz coming at you, or we need you to, think a little bit. I mean, it's the world's pretty fast, when you're out there on the football field. I wonder how you do that, keep from turning the ball over.
You remember a few years ago when Jet Duffy was the quarterback, it felt like the play calling had to be changed a little bit to maybe not put him in those situations, which we all felt was a little bit frustrating because you didn't feel like you ever really opened it up or really aired it out, or you didn't show a lot. And so I think that's hard to do. You got to trust your quarterback to be able to make decisions. And if he can't make those decisions, then that's part of the reason why you say, okay, we're going with somebody else. And I'm not suggesting that they're there at this point. The reason I bring that up is I think it's hard to, hey, you're our quarterback, but we're not going to let you do anything. I mean, it's just difficult to make him a robot out there. He's got to be able to make decisions on the fly and quick decisions and all that kind of stuff. Now, there are certain things that maybe you cut down his ability to audible, and maybe you do more of the stuff that we hate so much, right? Where everybody gets to the line of scrimmage and then looks over at the sideline. I mean, as fans, it's a beatdown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that also
prairie dog stuff.
That also keeps you from going fast, right? Because you're doing the opposite of that. But to answer your initial question, I think the way you talk to him about it, number one, but at the same time, I think it's a lot of film study of the next opponent. When you see this from this defense, they like to do this. Be ready for that to happen. Don't get fooled because they bring a safety into the box that he's only going to be there for the run. He might just be showing that and dropping back. And I know that was a simple version, but like something to that effect. So a lot of film study, a lot of prep for the next opponent. When you see this with their defense, expect this kind of stuff. And hope that he can soak that in and feel comfortable, so when he's out there, he's not confused and he's not being fooled by things. And I think there's that. I think our wide receivers could help a lot.
Okay.
I really do. Yeah, I think our receivers have been part of the problem as well. I don't think.
Do we know when they run?
Hey, Jeff, you can shut your mic off if you want.
We'll do you want to run on double T? Sorry. My apologies. Somewhere I pushed a button that shouldn't have been pushed.
Right, we got that.
I'm going to go walk away now.
Monkeys and footballs.
We talk about turning it over. How do we keep from doing that?
We need some film study here.
We
Goodness.
do. We just gave the ball to the plus side of Tech Talk. No.
So I think that to me is going to prepare him for the next opponent better, and so he's not confused. And again, that's where you have to go as the coordinator, as the quarterback's coach, or the head coach, and say, okay, well, if we're doing all these things, and we're still not able to avoid those mistakes, I think that's when you, as coaching staff, say, okay, we got to think about going with somebody different.
Yeah, because my other thought was, it's just one of those deals where you just have to have patience because there's growing pains. I mean,
And I don't think this coaching staff is anywhere close to at that point. Yeah, I shouldn't say maybe I shouldn't say anywhere close. I just think they're not there yet. And again, I gotta believe if you're seeing some of those same mistakes this upcoming weekend, that the leash will be shorter.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.